Hey, good morning. Over at Salon.com, I was reading an article by Ken Foster, and Ken Foster, I guess a year ago, was mugged in New Orleans. Of course, people get mugged all the time in New Orleans for reasons we cannot say, but it was especially funny to see a white, pudgy, middle-aged liberal get mugged in his diversity that he supports. Ken Foster, he's an author. He wrote a book about dogs or something, which is cool, but he's a typical swipple. And swipple, I don't know if you guys heard that term, that means stuff white people like. And it doesn't mean regular white people, it means like white, rich liberals like. You know, they sit around and they worry about global warming while they drink their, climate change while they drink their lattes. And the worst sin in the world is racism, followed by sexism, followed by homophobia. It's like the three big, that's a swipple. And Ken Foster is a swipple. If you read his blog, he's actually, you know, he kind of name drops. He used to hang around Elizabeth Gilbert. That was that lady that I just did a video about that wrote the book, Eat, Pray, and Fuck, or whatever. You know, the woman that just left her husband and ran off for a year gazing at her navel, screwing around, and loved by Oprah. Well, like, I guess they were buddies or something. I guess anyway, about a year ago, Ken Foster was walking the streets of New Orleans celebrating the diversity. And all of a sudden, whap! Along the side of his head, he had a 2x4 hit him on the ear and knock him down. And some of the diversity stole his, I guess they stole his iPod. I bet it was a Bono iPod, you know, the ones that are red that donate a little bit of money to Africa. So anyway, it's not funny because he was really hurt. It ruptured his eardrum and he's bled, and it was sad. What I found depressing reading his account of it was not so much his attack, but that he still, as a liberal that believes in cultural Marxism, can't or doesn't dare, or it'd be like ultimate heresy to state the obvious fact. He can't speak the truth. If you read the blog, he talked about how he called the police, but he was kind of shocked that the police didn't really care. I mean, they were slow to come out. They didn't even investigate the crime. To add insult to injury, they didn't even count it as a violent crime. I mean, this guy had a ruptured eardrum, blood coming out of his ears, and the police didn't even bother to classify it as a violent crime. So he did the typical liberal male wussy thing. And I say male instead of man, there's a difference. He blamed himself for the crime, not the criminals, himself. Oh, he did take other action, though. He created a little sign where the mugging took place that said, "Crime happened here," and he described, I guess he's a writer, but he described on the sign what sort of crime happened at that location. I guess this is an awareness thing. Oh, and I guess he's also attended a march against violence or something like that in New Orleans. So see, he does things. He does these nice and liberal things to help to fight crime. When I read this story, just the night before, I watched one of my old-time favorite movies, Dr. Zhivago. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It took place in revolutionary Russia. There's a great scene in the movie where Dr. Zhivago is asked by some commie to help some guy that is sick. And it turns out the guy's dead. He asked him, well, did he die of typhus? And Dr. Zhivago replied to him, no, it isn't typhus. It's another disease we don't have here in Moscow. It's starvation. You see, that was radical for Dr. Zhivago to say that, to admit the truth. That was counter-revolutionary. Because according to the communist principles, they were in a workers' paradise where disease and starvation can't happen. So obviously, Dr. Zhivago was saying counter-revolutionary things. And they shot counter-revolutionary. The commie looked at Dr. Zhivago and said, that seems to give you satisfaction to say such a thing. Dr. Zhivago, he said, well, you know, it'd give me more satisfaction if you would just admit to it. And the commie's like, well, why is that? Dr. Zhivago had a great line, then he said, because it's true. And that is what's so important, is the truth. Back in the Soviet Union, if the party said 1 + 1 = 3, you better damn well believe 1 + 1 = 3, because the ideology was more important than the truth under communism. But we have the same thing today in the United States of America. It's called political correctness, which is cultural Marxism. It came out of Marxism, the history out of it, if you research it. And it's the same thing. People are scared to say the truth because they don't use the term counter-revolutionary. It's racist, it's sexist, it's homophobic. But it's all meaning you're a bad and you could get in trouble if you speak the truth. So you get in America these weasels that write for the mainstream media like Foster, and even though they get hit over the head by a 2x4, it still won't knock sense into them. They still need to parrot the Marxist line of it's always the whites that are the evil oppressors, and they have that narrative and they can't go away from that narrative, otherwise it's heresy, and they're scared of it. But I'm not like that. I'm Ramsey fucking Paul. I can speak the truth, and I don't care if you call me a racist, sexist, homophobe, whatever. I'll say anything, even if it is counter-revolutionary. And the truth, Ken Foster, that you can't bring yourself to say, even though you probably know and you're trying to deny it, is blacks commit a lot more crimes against whites than whites do against black. It's not even close. And the reason the police didn't do anything about it is because they fucking hate you. Because even though you're liberal, you're a white man. And cultural Marxism, they hate whites, they hate men, and they hate Christianity. They despise that. There's historical roots for that. You are a third-tier citizen. Believe me, Ken Foster, remember what happened in Walmart in New Jersey earlier this year? Some kid did a prank at Walmart. He got this loudspeaker. He said, "Attention, all black shoppers need to leave the store." It created a national incident. National. It made the national news. And the New Jersey had 13 detectives investigating the case. 13 detectives. But Ken, you get hit by a 2x4, lose your hearing in your ear, get robbed, and they don't even fucking investigate it. And you can't even say why they do that. But I'll tell you why. It's because you're white, and they don't give a damn about you. It doesn't fit their politically correct or cultural Marxist narrative. In that narrative, whites are always the evil ones, and African Americans are always good. And if anything should offend an African American, it's national news. But as a white, if you get mugged, well, it's your own fucking fault. You're probably in the wrong place at the wrong time. You shouldn't have been there. The police aren't going to fucking help you, and groveling by putting up a stupid little sign is not going to stop these gangbangers saying, "Oh, he's got a sign there that said he was hurt here. Makes me feel sad." They don't give a shit. It's just laughable. And if you don't even see it, it's just funny. It's just retarded. No one gives a shit that you took a walk against violence. It does nothing. Absolutely nothing. You don't stop violence by doing a march against violence. It's just ridiculous. Okay, if you want to make a difference, you know what you could do is on the national media, what you write, like for Salon.com, you could bring up the race factor that most racial crimes are blacks against whites. You could broach that topic, but you don't have the guts to do that because that would violate your ideology. But if you wanted to be a man, do what Dr. Zhivago says and at least admit the truth. That would be a start. It'd make you feel better. It'd set you free. The truth will set you free. That was said by someone else I'm sure that you hate, but you should think about it. Talk to you later.